21st shloka of Atma Bodha. Here he is going to say how, due to the false adhyasa, the superimposition of the qualities of one on the other, that is what is called the adhyasa. Say, there was a rope which had nothing to do, which had no connection with the serpent at all. But then, we have superimposed the qualities of the serpent and we thought that the serpent is just raising its foot. It looked like that. So till that ignorance was removed, that ajnana was removed, you were actually into the misapprehension that it was not a rope, it was actually a serpent with all its frightening consequences in case it was to be touched by us. So here he is going to say, look here, the body is there. The body has got its own qualities, gunas, and it has got its own functions and activities which you call diksha. Now what are all the types of qualities which the body has got? The body is subject to the 6 kinds of changes, the Shadvikara. That is, it can grow, it can decay, it is born, it will die, and all that. These are the qualities of the body. But then what we say, oh, Mr. X died. Mr. X didn't die. It's because his body which died. But we don't see such subtle distinctions because of the tadatmya bhava, the identification of the Atma with the body. So, the body moved, the body died, the body had arthritis, and you say, I am having arthritis, I am having spondylitis, I am having all this angina. Then, similarly, the Deha has got certain activities. It moves. This body has moved all the way from the Himalayas to Tiruvannamalai. But what do I say? I say, I have come from Vasishta Guha. I didn't come from Vasishta Guha. It was the body which moved from Vasishta Guha to here. So, the qualities of the body as also the activities of the body, we are ascribing, we are attributing it to the Atma. And we think that I, the Atma, is this body. Similarly, let us take the various senses, the eyes, etc. They have got their own qualities. My eye, it can't see much. Its vision is less. Somebody's eye is very sharp. We can see even some 2 kilometers ahead from here if there were no barriers. So, the dull vision, the sharp vision, deafness of the ear, so these are all the qualities of the various indriyas. There are activities of these indriyas. The eye sees, the ear hears, the nose smells, the tongue tastes. So these are all the various qualities. Again, due to the adhyasa, due to the tadatmya bhava, due to our identification of this eye with the body and its appurtenances, what we call as the senses. The senses is not part of the body, no doubt, but still some people consider these indriyas as separate from the body and as such. When the indriya sees, when the eye sees, you don't say that my eye saw, you say I saw heard, I said, well, I heard him talk like this yesterday. Atman cannot hear. Atman has got no activities at all. Atman is nishkriya. It has absolutely no activities at all. It is only a witness. It is a sakshi. It is a sakshi of all these activities. But then what has happened? Due to his misapprehension, due to this admixture of the qualities of the Atman and the qualities of the Deha and Indriya, we are telling something wrong. We are falsely implicating the Atman by telling it is the Atman who was seeing, the Atman who was doing, and like that. So he says, Dekhen Vijagunan Karman Yamale Satchidatmani Adhyasyanti Avivekena Gagane Nilata Divatu. How this mutual superimposition takes place, he gives one small analogy. The analogy is the space, the sky. When you look at it, it looks blue. If you are attributing it to that, the sky is absolutely untouched by any of those colors. Similarly, it looks as if it is concave looking. It is just a little bent line, like a concave lens. Neither the concavity nor is having the blueness, neither of them is a characteristic of the sky. It is the characteristic of some other place which is being reflected, and the sky is absolutely untainted, it is unsullied by any of these things. Dehendriya gunan karman yamale satchidatman. How? Gagane nilata bhuti. Gagane means the sky. Nilata means the blueness, the blue color. But then she says Adi. Adi means there are other characteristics of the sky. The sky has no characteristics. The sky is colorless. It is only infinite. That's all we can say. Otherwise, the concavity of it or whatever it is, its shape and all that. So Adi means etc. That means not only the color, the shape, like for instance the concavity of it. So all these things, Avivekena Gagane Atyasyanti. They don't belong to the sky at all, but because of our lack of knowledge, our lack of discriminative knowledge, so it is only a superimposition. And in similar manner, Dehendriya Gunan Karmani. Dehendriya Gunani, Dehendriya Karmani. That is, Guna means the qualities as I just now explained to you, and Karmani means the activities. So the characteristics and the activities of the body. Similarly, the characteristics and the activities of the various senses, like the eye, like the ear, etc. Avivekena Satchidatmani Advaitin. We are putting it in that Atma. We are attributing it to the Atman. We say the Atman hears. We say the Atman, we say, I have died, he has died, such has died. I say, I have grown into old age. I am old. I am having arthritis. So I is the Atman. While that which got that old age, that which got this spondylosis or the arthritis, it is only the body. But we are attributing it to this. So, Satchidatmani, in that Atman, whose essential nature is only existence and consciousness. It is, that's all you can say about it. That's all. It's aware that it exists. I am aware, I exist. That's all. So that awareness, it happens to be, that consciousness, it happens to be. the Chidamsha, and that saying that I am, that amness, that is the existence or being. So, the Atma, which is purely of the nature of being and consciousness, and what else it is? Amale. It is pure. It is pure because no avidya can cover the Atma. All the covering is for your eyes. The Atman always shines unslammed, unhampered by any of these upadhis, by any of these limiting adjuncts from the external. So, Amale Sachidatmani, Amale, in that absolutely pure and Amale Sachidatmani, Dehendriya Gunani, Karmani, all these things, Adhyasyanti. Why? Because Avivekena, we have not been able to distinguish between the Chaitanya and the Jada, the conscious and the insentient. We are unable to distinguish. And naturally we mix it up, and that is called a knot. It is called the Chidjala Granthi. And Chidjala Granthi is formed because of the superimposition of the qualities of something else or something else. The qualities of a serpent on a rope, a refuge. So, Adhyasyanti Avivekena Gagane Leelatati. Just as we ascribe the non-existing characteristics of the concavity in the shape and the color, the bluish color, to the sky, in the same way, due to the same lack of knowledge, the lack of discriminative knowledge, we are superimposing the characteristics of the body, the characteristics of the senses on the pure Satchidatma, on the pure Atman, the pure self, who is of the nature of existence and consciousness. So, you see what happens is, even though Atman is working in the close presence of a Deha and a Indriya, none of these things can ever touch him. You know why? You are walking in the desert, in the Sahara desert. You are feeling thirsty. Suddenly you saw at a distance, due to the maya of the sun's rays, the shining sand, and some water which was elsewhere, at some place you saw that there is water. Oh, here is an oasis. You run. When you run, you are disappointed when you reach the spot that it is a mirage, what is called in Sanskrit as Mrigatishnika or Mrigamarichika. It is a mirage. Mirage means an illusion of water where there is no water, there is only the shining sand. Now, the shining sand, because of the illusion that as if there was water, when you go near and then take the sand in hand, you find that it has got the wetness of water. The water is an illusion, and illusory water cannot wet that sand. Similarly, all these Dehas, Indriyas, as they are all only the creation of Ajnana, they are all only avidya karya, the effect of avidya. In actual fact, none of these characteristics can ever touch Atman. Atman is ever pure and it is ever untainted and unsullied by any of the other characteristics, even though it looks as if it is in close contact. But none of those qualities or the characteristics can adhere to Atman. Now we come to the next 22nd. Ajnana Kartraswadi Atmani Kalpyante Ambugate Chandre Chalana Yathambhataha. Now the question is, shall we agree? The characteristics of the body may not adhere to the Atman. The activities of the body and the senses may not adhere to the Atman. But then, in actual practice we experience, we say, well, I gave the lecture, I did something today, so that doership we attribute. And then you say, I am having pain. So, the experience of pain, agony, joy, sorrow, sukhitva, dukhitva, and kartrutva, bhoktrutva. Kartrutva means the doership. I did, I lectured, I ate, I heard. So this is kartrutva bhava, the doership. And in actual practice, nobody says, my eyes saw, my ears did it, my mouth put it in itself, the foot. We never say. We always say, I did. So naturally, sir, the Atman should definitely have at least the doership. What about it? He says, no, even that is not possible. Even that is not possible. You see, the entire calamity or the catastrophe of this birth and death and the consequent sorrows, hardships and sufferings were inherited because of this doership. Because something else did it. Guna guneshu vartante iti matva nasajyate. The various indriyas are doing the respective job, and I, the Atman, am only conscious of it. I saw my feet going to the dining hall. I saw my hand contacting the plates and taking the food and putting it in the mouth. I saw the mouth putting it into the gullet. But then I said, I have taken my lunch. Who took the lunch? Not you. You were only aware of all these things. You were only conscious of it. You were a witness to all these activities. But the respective jobs were done by the respective indriyas. You had nothing to do with those activities. So, the entire activity is being done by that. If you look at it at a little deeper level, whatever is happening in this life, everything is being God done by the universal. It is the universal scheme of things. Your body is just like a roller which is lying there. There are thousands of rollers. They are all lying. They are being pushed here, they are being pushed to there. It is all being done by the instructions of the universal already pre-recorded in the tape, and the computer is accordingly moving us. It is an analogous computer which is just making us function as per the tape recorder, which is already pre-recorded. So as such, if only we remind, I am not the doer, I am not the experiencer, it is all being done because the entire thing is a TV. Whether it is a tragedy on me, whether it is a comedy on me, whether it is a tragedy on somebody else, whether it is a comedy on somebody else, look at all as the dream which you are seeing. In the dream you yourself saw yourself having a lot of sufferings, having a lot of hardship. But when you woke up, did it exist? So here, you don't ascribe the doership to you. If only you say, I did this lecture, I went for the pilgrimage. You may get the papa and the punya. You will get some credit marks, you may get some debit marks. It will be marked as this fellow committed a sin on such and such a day, or this fellow committed a good deed on such and such a day. He gave in charity some 40 lakhs of rupees, so the credit will go against you. But the moment you thought, I have given the money, I have donated this 20 lakhs of rupees to Advaitin, then automatically all the consequences will all come to you. If supposing that temple authorities just misused the 20 lakhs of rupees and took it home and they drank it all, going to a hotel with all their families. And all those papas also would have confused them. That's all. Because you said you were the doer. Well, we are giving you credit, but the debit also is yours. So, you will have to get the punishment also for the misuse of the funds which you gave indiscriminately, and you will also get the credit for having done a charity to the temple. So both you have to enjoy separately. You can't cancel each other. No cancel entries are allowed. Each one has to be enjoyed separately, experienced separately. So this doership is that which is involving us in birth and death. Because in the doership, whatever accrues the punyas and the papas, the results are not being allotted to you in that very birth, they are being allotted to you in the subsequent birth. So in order to enjoy the rewards or the punishments respectively for the good deeds and the bad deeds, you have to get embodied. And then you have to suffer all those things. Then what happens? The entire life you don't go on only getting those punishments and this award. There is a lot of interval in between. Then what do? You can't remain quiet. Then you do some fresh actions. And how do you do these fresh actions? You are having advisors known as vasanas. And those vasanas tell you, why are you going every time to Ramanasram? What is there? Why don't you go to Ooty? Fine horses have come from the Arab countries and they are so nice. Who knows? You may pay 10 rupees and you may get 10 lakhs. So it is because of the advice which these vasanas, there is a latent tendency from the past birth due to the habituated impressions of the habituated work which you have been doing in your previous birth, which are lying dormant in your computer memory, and they come as advisory. And the one which has been done several times by you, it becomes an aggressive advisor. It tells you, look here, you do accordingly, otherwise, you know what will happen. So the fellow gives us pride. Just like a governor who doesn't have much idea of administration, who used to be guided only by his two advisors who are all senior IAS officers who have been secretaries and chief secretaries. So naturally you are afraid to go against the aggressive advice of some of those advisors. You are a weak governor, you silence the door. And that is what is happening. With the result, you do fresh action, again you take another birth for reaping the fruits of the good and the bad deeds. Thus it goes on as a vicious circle. So it is the doership which is the main cause. So we should know that we don't do anything at all. Everything is being God done. We can't even breathe, as I told you one day. We are being breathed. If it was within my power to breathe, then on the last day when the breath goes away, bidding goodbye to me once for all, why can't I catch it and keep it? No, I require it for some more days. Don't go now. So it is not in your hands. So that shows pretty well that none of these activities are in your hands. You are made to do. So she says, Ajnanan manasopathe kartrasvadi Atmani. The idea of the doership comes because the Atman cannot say that I do. The Atman cannot talk. The Atman doesn't do anything. It is Nishkriya. But in between, due to the reflected rays of the awareness or the consciousness, the Chidamsha of the Atma, it goes and gets reflected in our mind, and this mind creates a non-entity who says I is the ego. The individual I is created. I, Mr. X, I, Swami Shantananda. So this individualism, where there is no individual at all, there is only the universal, there is only one electricity in all these bulbs, there is no and gets distributed. And all these wattage business, less and more, they are all due to the sanskaras, due to the vasanas which are inherent in the bulbs. It has nothing to do with the Atma. So, it is because the mind creates an eye. When the eye is created, next the world follows, the entire world follows. Throughout the night, you are unaware of this eye. Neither you are aware of yourself, nor were you aware of the world. That very day you might have been involved in a very big accident. You have multi-fractures in the hand and feet, full of agony, in spite of 2 preferred injections. But in spite of it, once you began to sleep, you were unaware of your body, you were not aware of the fractures, you were not aware of the various bandages, you were not aware of the agony in the various cells of your body, in spite of those multiple fractures. So, at that time, the eye has disappeared, the world has disappeared. The early morning, the moment you got up, first eye is Swamiji. Oh, today at 8 o'clock I have got this, at 9 o'clock I have got this, all appointments come. To my mind, the entire world has begun to arise in my mind. So, all these Kartritva means the doership, etc. What do you mean by etc.? That is Kartritva, doership. The next is that I am experiencing this thing. I am experiencing this. So that is called the experiencer. That is Bhoktritva. Bhokta means the one who experiences. So that quality of the experience, that is called Bhoktritva. Just like Kartritva, we call it as Bhoktritva. That is the quality of attributing the experiences to oneself. Then the third thing is Sukhitva, Dukhitva, saying I am happy. Oh, I am very unhappy today, I am not happy at all, my mood has changed. So, this state of saying that moving from happiness to sorrow. So all these things, we say I am happy, I am unhappy. So by I you mean the Atman. Atman is never happy. Atman, we call it as Ekarasa. It is always in the same state. It is changeless. There cannot be any vikara. It is nirvikara. There is absolutely no change. It doesn't change from the blues of the morning to the ebullient enthusiasm of the evening. Not at all. It is the same. It is neither happy nor unhappy. It is neither sorrowful nor joyful. It reminds that the ever the same contented state, the satisfying state, it requires nothing. It is perfect. It lacks in nothing. So, all these Kartritvadini, Manasopadhehe, Ajnanati, Atmani Kalpyante. Kalpyante means they are all being imagined. That is what is called a superimposition. When you imagine a serpent on a rope, you call it the superimposition. The qualities of something else which didn't exist, we have imagined it on that rope. A quality of a serpent which never existed, we have imagined on the rope. So, Atmani Kalpyante, Kartritvadini Atmani Kalpyante. All these viewership, experientialship, and saying that I am happy, that is the states of being in happiness, the states of being in sorrow, all these things are all imaginations. The Atman is never happy, the Atman is never unhappy, the Atman never changes its moods, the Atman never undergoes any of these changes at all. It is nirvikara, it is nishkriya, it is untainted, it is nirlipta. It has nothing to do with any of these things, but They are all being imagined. Why are they being imagined? Ajnana. The reason is very evident. It is all the lack of knowledge. It is the ignorance. What ignorance? Ignorance of what? The Atma never knew that what it is like. Because the Atman, whereas it has come into the body, it has forgotten its connection with the universal. It has begun to compartmentalize itself by thinking, I am the individual. It has assumed the Nama and Rupa. When it became embodied, it began to be called as Shantananda, Mr. Krishna, Mr. Raman. So it has identified itself with its body and senses, with all limited things, while it is unlimited and pure. So, Ajnana, it is all due to the ignorance. But then, he says, due to the ignorance, the dualship comes. It is not correct. In sleep, you are full of ajnana only. It is all absolute ignorance and nothingness. And there is no kartarutva, you don't move your hand or foot, you are sleeping like a log of wood, and there is no dualship at all. So how can you say ajnana kartarutva diti? Because of which the dualship comes and they are all being imagined. Here, according to one beautiful Vyakhya in Sanskrit, which is perhaps the only commentary available that I have heard of. It was originally in Malayalam. Actually, it is a Sanskrit Vyakhya by somebody unknown. So there he has given Ajnanatu means Alpajnanatu. Because of the insufficient knowledge. Don't say because of ignorance, but say that because of the insufficient knowledge, Ajnanatu, so we consider it. Otherwise, if you say Ajnana, then it becomes contradictory. When you are in absolute Ajnana, when you are in absolute ignorance in sleep, there is no kartarutva. So where is the question of kartarutva coming? Where is the question of dualship coming? So what he has said seems to be more acceptable. So Ajnana means due to alpajnana, due to the limited knowledge which we have, kartarutva, that's dualship, etc. Manasopadhi. How this kalpana comes, how the imagination comes. A pure color picture has been kept over here, it is absolutely transparent, and I have put a red handkerchief behind it. Now, in the front you are seeing this crystal being absolutely blue, like azure blue. But the blueness is not part of the crystal. The crystal still happens to be colorless, but then the bluish color which you are seeing is because of this external limiting adjunct which is called the upadhi. The upadhi here is that small handkerchief. Similarly, the handkerchief which covers you and because of which you think that the Atman is the doer and not something else, it is because of the mind. Manasopadhe. It is because of the upadhi of the mind. What happens is, the mind creates the ego. It is the mind which has which got this tadatma bhava with the Atma. The mind can never be the Atma. Both are absolutely contradictory in nature. The mind is absolutely a jada vastu. It is insentient. It has no consciousness. What is consciousness? Consciousness is the ability to know that I am. So that I amness is the real consciousness. And the mind doesn't know that it is there, it is jada. But then when it works, how does it work? It works because of the reflection of the Satchidananda or the Atman. It is the Atman's raised reflection, we call it as Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa means that is not the full consciousness. It looks as if it is, and it is only reflection. Abhasa means a reflection. It is a reflection of that whole consciousness, but that itself is subject. Because the consciousness is so infinite, even a drop of it, if it falls, when it will act as if it has got, it is under, as if it is being controlled under active electricity. It will work by itself. You will not know. That is why. Because of the ignorance, we superimpose the qualities of the mind on the Atman. And thus, we attribute the doership. Actually, the Atman does nothing. It is all a trick of the mind. That's what we will call the Manasopadaya. If you are to translate it in a layman's language, I will only say it's only a trick of the mind, because the mind has created an I which never existed, which is an ego. So what is this I? This I is something which has identified itself with the body and the senses, which has limited itself and made itself individual. It was never an individual. Atman has never been an individual Atma at all. But then what happens is, the Atman, whereas it gets embodied, is beautiful rays, they fall on the mind. The mind is a creation of the avidya, which is kept there as a medium through which the rays of the Atman pass. Then what happens is, it is that mind which has created that I figure, then it becomes a jiva. Jiva or jivatma means the individualized soul, which got individualized because of the play of the buddhi, the play of the intellect, the play of the mind, which got a little heat from the reflection of the Atma, from the infinite reflection of the Atma. And unaware of it, we take it as the Atman itself. Kalpyante. So they are all being only imagined in the Atman. The Atman doesn't have any doership. It never feels that I am happy, I am unhappy. There is no change of state at all. It is nirvikara, it is changeless. But then he is giving us an example. How it is. Ambugate chandre yatha ambataha taladi. It's the evening or the dusk. It is the Paurnami day. The moon is shining brilliant way, and you are having a number of big vessels in which water is kept. And there is a pond in which the water is flowing. From an artesian well in between, and the water is flowing. Then you find that the moon is there in the pond and in the water which is there in the vessel. But the vessel, water, we have just now come and kept it, because of the jolting to which it was subject to, the water is moving, it is oscillating from one end to another end. And when you see, it looks, the moon is also oscillating with it. So a child says, Mommy, see, the moon is oscillating, jhula khel raha hai. It is just there moving in a swing. The moon is not moving in a swing. It is there very much in the same place, but it just looks like that. It is just an illusion of the mind. So, he says, how this Atman has been mistaken that as if it is the doer, it is just like the moon which is mistaken that as if it is moving from one end to another, even though it is remaining stationary in the sky. So the Chandra which is inside the water, Ambugate Chandre. Ambugate means the one which is inside the water. The moon which is inside the water, kept in a big tank or in a pond where it is moving. Ambasaha chalanadi yatha kalpyante. water is moving, but you don't say the water is moving, you say the moon is moving. So the movement of the water has been transferred, has been superimposed on the moon. In a similar way, the doership, which is actually a play of the mind, which has created the ego, and then it says, I have done it, I have done it, I am the doer, that has been transferred to the Atman by a misapprehension of his mind. Now we come to the next 23rd. Rage Sukha Dukkhadi. Before we start this 23rd, a small announcement. Because tomorrow and after tomorrow we are having various functions, and we are having Purnima, and according to many this is going to be the brightest of the Purnimas in this century, and it has been announced so perhaps in some of the communication channels, and as such they expect that there will be a lot of crowd. Even in a normal Purnima we have been seeing there is a lot of crowd and all that, so we will be disturbed. So for 3 days, from tomorrow, 22nd, 23rd and 24th, and 24th is Bhagavan's Jayanti Day, we will all be so busy like, and there are separate programs as you will see from the notice. So as with these 3 days, we are suspending the classes. So from 25th onwards, we shall be resuming the classes after Bodha. So tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and the one day after, for 3 days, there will be no classes. And then the classes will be resumed as usual at the same